Alright, how's it going, everybody? This is Ismortah, and today I have episode 20 of my custom campaign for Kingdom Death Monster. And this session, it's going to be the hunt phase, going after a level 1 Screaming Antelope. As you may have seen in the previous video, I wanted to go after a Screaming Antelope level 2, by bringing in some more powerful gear combination. But things did not go as planned in the settlements. Things got a little crazy. So, small deviation to plan, and you also see what I'll show you at the beginning, small deviation to actually who I have going out on the hunt as well. So, let me make sure that you guys can hear me, which you can. All right. So as always, the formula for this, for those of you that are new watching, this is the hunt phase of Lantern Year, this being Lantern Year 7. And what I have included in the hunt is not just the hunt phase, but also the departing step of the settlement phase and the arrival step of the showdown phase. Just because, in my opinion, it all has to do with the hunt, preparing your party, pursuing the monster, and then setting up for the attack. Whereas the showdown is just the battle with the antelope, not the strategy behind it. And that I count as part of the hunt. And that's why I do it together. Also to make it so the sessions are smaller for the showdown and the summit phase, because those typically tend to go longer, because there's a lot of determining as a society during the summit phase how you're going to proceed when stuff happens. And then the showdown phase, depending on how many hit points the boss has, it could go for a while. Alright, so first what I want to show you is the updated, what I got going on strategy-wise. So I'm going to pick this up. So if it's a little bit wobbly, that would be why. So the 4 characters I have going out now is Eva and Eltcore, who has the rawhide armor set. Snahavium, who has the White Lion armor set, as well as Qatar specialization, and Emily. So Emily and Eva, or as you know, my 2 new additions, they're identical twins. And Eve. Actually, Eva sounds better. I'm going to change it to Eva, actually. No, I'll keep it Eve. Eva. I'll keep it Eve. Is a savior who's going down the dream of the lantern track. The dream she had was of a lantern, influencing her. More of that on the previous video. And so the gear grids that I'm currently rocking are basically the same format as far as defense and attack. I just swapped some of the auxiliary items around. So Eve is going to have the bow build, but then I also added a bone blade. That way she could attack in close and not have to waste survival, because I may want to make sure I spend survival to keep her alive, just in case. And that's why I gave her the Fickle Salve to draw away aggro as well. And you also see I gave a few people Stone Noses, those that didn't have a lot of insanity, to help bump insanity. That's the purpose of that. Emily is rocking the spear, and the only thing of choice you notice is she has the Cat Eye Circlet and the Whisper Harp to do some manipulating what the monster's going to do, as well as gave her the Frenzy Drink, since she has hardly any sanity, to get a huge boost in sanity, also a lot of attacks with the King Spear, to get a lot of wounds in, as well as potential luck, because she has +1 luck. Eltcore is running the classic Rawhide Bone Club build, but also gave a Stone Nose to help bump some stats. And then Snahavium, of course, is doing the White Lion armor with the guitars. And I also gave her bandages, because especially since she can go movement 6 due to the White Lion boots, she can run around a little bit faster without having to use survival to heal people with bandages. And that's a general strat. And so I've already done the departing stats also. I've reflected it. Everyone got +11 survival. but the cap is 5, so everyone is maxed 5 survival, and then everyone got 1 insanity. Alrighty. So now, we should be able to jump into the hunt. So let me get this situated for you guys so you can optimally see. Cool. Actually, before I set this up, let me show you some of the miniatures. I swapped out a couple. So this, of course, is the awesome miniature for the Screaming Antelope. With that mouth for a belly. And then we have the survivors. So from top to bottom, I'm going counterclockwise from the gear grids. So I have Eltcor, Snahavium, Emily, and Eve. So for Eltcor, I'm still rocking the miniature I have with the huge axe, just because it looks closest to a club. Again, when I get to like Lantern Year 10 or something, I might update all of the miniatures. I was thinking about doing. Or like in a couple Lantern Years. And have ready by then. Snahavium, I swapped it out just for a different model, just to mix it up. So this is one of the other starting survivor females. Who's one of the hotter ones. And I'm just saying, that the shard is a dagger. Of course, we got this miniature for rocking the Antelope armor, which I eventually want to get for this person, and the spear. And for Eve, I'm rocking actually one of the miniatures in the Intimacy couple models. This is the girl you remember in that picture for the Intimacy story event. And she's rocking a sword because that could very well be maybe one of the main weapons that Eve uses, because I want to use the bow if I can, but I don't want to waste survival necessarily to always do it. Especially toward the end, if you starts getting close to not much survival left, so can rock the blade instead, because the bow is a cumbersome weapon, meaning you can't move and attack the same round unless you spend survival to dash. Cool. Well, I think we're ready to go. Get a little swig of coffee. We'll do it. My goal, as you know, as always, is to try to farm as much materials as possible. So I definitely want to, I'm going to capitalize on that during the hunt as well as in battle to try to get those crits, to try to definitely inspect anything I see on the ground in the attempts to just finding stuff useful for civilization. Is the idea. And since I have people here, 3 of 4 actually, that have a small bonus to crit, or some actually a sizable bonus, I'm trying to carve that monster. See how it goes. All right, so let's begin. So we did our strategy and set up our departing survivors. We did our departing bonuses, and now we're doing the hunt. All right, so I'm going to lead and just go straight down the list and go counterclockwise. So we'll start with Eltcor, move it into this space here. Devoured Grounds. I'll just show you the pic. Don't worry about it if you can't read it, because I'll read it to you. I just want to show you what the card looks like. The stone face ground is littered with the leavings of ravenous passing beasts. Half-eaten acanthus plants are strewn everywhere. If any survivor has +3 understanding, 3 plus understanding, 3 or greater, the survivors may skip the next hunt space. Otherwise, roll a random hunt event. So if I'm reading this correctly, we're currently on this space. It's saying that we can skip the next space. So like this event is for this space. So it's either we're at this space now, and it said we can either skip the next hunt space and go straight to this spot, or roll a random hunt event. So what that means is basically we either have two spaces we do nothing, or we roll a random hunt event here, and then we'll move in this space and do another random hunt event. So I do have somebody with 3+ understanding, and that's Elkor. He has 3 understanding. But I don't know if I want to do that. Like, going through, doing these hunt events are very dangerous, but you could also find good stuff. Now, as you know, during the last Lantern year, it was a really bad hunt experience. Like, people got a lot of disorders, but also found some resources, right? But, like I mentioned, because I'm trying to find resources, but it seems like what this means is, because you're going through acanthus plants and you know acanthus plants are safe and actually good for you, then Elkor would know if I take this path, it'll be safe all the way to here. Whereas if I don't go through the Devour Grounds, I don't know what's going to happen in these two spaces. And they can be good or bad. So the question is, do I just focus on carving the monster and just try to get to the monster as fast as I can? The fact that I want to keep Eve alive, maybe that's a better idea. Because you see right now, only 2 people have really good gear, right? So, blah. Now, I'm not married, obviously, to have Eve and Emily be these weapons. They could also switch gear, for sure. I just thought this was a better initial setup because we can crit from afar, potentially. Shit, man. Maybe I should avoid problems, because we already had enough problems in the settlement already. We had a shifty person eating a skull, which I'm not sure what's going to happen next Lantern year. And we had a festival, which was great, but also a problem. And then other stuff happened. So I think we might play it safe. We've already had enough crap happen. I think we should play it safe. So we're going to do that. I'm just going to check the wording on this again, just to make sure I'm not reading this incorrectly. That it's not saying skip this space and go to this space. Because when you reveal the event, this is the event. You either do this event. It doesn't say skip this space. It says skip the next hunt space. Otherwise, roll a random event. And then if you go here, if there's nothing, roll a random event. And this is saying skip the space. So instead of going here, we would go here and trigger this. All right, so that's how I'm going to play it, because I think that's how it reads. So we're going to read that. We're going to do that. So we found a hidden path of acanthus, which we're going to follow. So now we're going to move to this space, and of which Snahavium will lead the charge. Right, here we go. This one says, Dead Antelope, which I believe we've seen this one before. The survivors are struck by the scent of rotting meat wafting from a hulking corpse ahead. The event revealer may lead the survivors to investigate. If they do, gain 1 random vermin resource, 2 random screaming antelope resources, and roll a d10. On a 7+, the survivors are startled by the I wonder if I read this. I wonder if I did this incorrectly last time. It says on a 7 plus, you fight the white antelope, the white lion. I guess I have to watch the video. I wonder if I did that incorrectly last time. I don't know, because I thought I rolled high because I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I shouldn't count myself out. I just don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head how I did that last time. Because last time we didn't fight it, but I thought I rolled higher than a 7. Maybe it was lower. I don't know. I cannot remember. Anyway, it says the event revealer, which would be Snyhavia, may lead the survivors to investigate. If we investigate, we get a random vermin and 2 random screaming antelope resources, which I'm all about because I like screaming antelope resources. And then I rolled D10, and on a 7 plus, we were startled by the arrival of the antelope's killer, a white lion. And if we fight the white lion, it's going to be really powerful. Otherwise, we do a random hunt event. I mean, like I said, I'm all about avoiding danger of the unknown right now because we already had enough stuff happen to the settlement for 1 lantern year. But man, I'm all about looting the dead bodies. That's free resources that we desperately need. I would just hate to not be able to farm the white lion. I mean, to attack the antelope is the thing. That's the thing. I mean, it's cool to get free resources, and I have decent odds that I'd still fight it, but it's just like a 1/3 chance that we wouldn't fight it. 40% chance, actually. I don't know. I just feel like the party we would always loot because we're trying to find resources. Like we would always do it. I feel. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's what I think they would do. Like avoiding danger when we already had danger happen. We're trying to survive as so much, sure, but it's like we see resources. We want to carve an antelope. We find one. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what I would do, honestly. So yeah, let's do it. As they say in Critical Role, roll the dice. Okay, so we will investigate the dead body. So we get 1 vermin, 2 antelope, and roll d10. So the vermin we got a nightmare tick. Which I'll show you a picture of it. Basically, a good thing could happen, really good, or a good, no effect, or really bad. So we found a vermin and 2 screaming antelope resources. Which we got a pelt, which I really needed, awesome, and a tooth. Of course, I still need regular hides, but I need pelts to complete the set. So that is cool. All right, I'll put the resources down here. And then we roll a d10 on a 7 plus. We are startled by the killer of the screaming antelope. We rolled a 4. Phew, man, roll the dice. So we do not encounter the antelope, but because we did this event, we don't roll a random hunt event. So we did this one, we skipped this one, we did this one. So now we're here, and then now Emily is going to find the Screaming Antelope, and now we'll set up the showdown. So all right, perfect scenario. And to be honest, if we fought the White Lion, that may not have been terrible, because Love to White Lion, we would have got a lot of resources, and we definitely have the DPS to take it out. I was just worried about the fact that he's got some new abilities that we really want to be able to negate his new abilities, and make him more vulnerable to hits so that I don't miss, to knock down those extra hit points quicker, as well as have someone else have the ability to absorb attacks, so at least 3 out of 4 people would live, because it's not terrible if one person dies, because then, you know, I get my boon if somebody dies. So, but anyway, it worked out in our favor, fortunately. We avoided challenges to get to what we wanted and focused on what we wanted. We need Antelope resources, so there you go. All right, so now we're going to set up the event. So I will do that right now. We're going to set up the showdown board, and then I'll clear this out. We'll do the arrival bonuses, and then we'll set up the showdown board, which is, I could set up advantageous to us, but the Screaming Antelope will go first, because they always go at the top of the round. All right. So unlike what I did last time, I need to move this back so the edge of the board is seen. We're going to start off on this edge. All right. So actually, I have to say, that was a really good hunt. No dangers, and we got free resources since we lost a lot. So that worked out about as good as we can get for Kingdom Death Monster. So, all right. So I'm not gonna worry about shuffling and set up the decks, because I'll just do that in between streams. I won't bore you with that. What I want to show you is the strategy on how do we want to attack this this monster. Now I could set up potentially the same way as last time, but I don't know what terrain I'm going to get this time. So that's really the main difference, because that could affect what we do, especially if it's objects or if it's resources. All right, so she has these 3. Good stuff. All right, so for the terrain, we always start off with 6 acanthus plants, so 3 of these cards, 1 bug patch, and then 2 randoms. So the 2 randoms are toppled pillar and 3 stone columns. So just look at the picks. I'll read you what they do. Don't worry about that. Okay? So the difference between the pillar and the columns is that the toppled pillar is a long piece, whereas the stone columns are shorter pieces. And all of them obstruct line of sight. So if the monster is doing facing threat or field of view threat, you won't be seen if you're blocked by line of sight of the object. And they're both impassable, so survivors can't move through it at all. But the main difference between these two is the monster can destroy the stone columns. They're destructible. And if a survivor collides when it's destroyed, they take a damage. Whereas the toppled pillar, the monster cannot destroy, and a survivor can actually spend an action to jump to the other side of the pillar without having to move around. They'll actually go over it, which is interesting. So this is actually a really good blocker. Like, this is good for line of sight, but this is really good for getting away from the monster, or blocking line of sight and then surprise attacking. So this is very interesting. So the setup will definitely be a little bit different, for sure, because I want to try to capitalize on this. And also realize that the Screaming Antelope charges. So maybe I could situate it in a way so that when it charges, I'll be stopped cold, potentially. Whereas this will blast through. All right, cool. So I'm going to find those pieces, 3 stone columns. These dudes here, so that worked out. And then a toppled pillar. And I don't think I've ever played with the pillar before, if memory serves. So that is new, aka in the last campaign. So see, it's a bigger piece. All right. So before I get any more involved, I'm going to go ahead and do all of the arrival bonuses. Okay. So on arrival, I know definitely we have the harp that affects everybody, but then everyone individually has stuff on the gear grids also. So I'll just do everything on the gear grids plus 1 survival. But no one lost any survival, so I don't have to worry about that. So I don't have to worry about the harp. So I'll just look at each one individually. Starting with Emily. I'm looking for the word arrival. So gain plus 1 insanity. So insanity for Emily goes to 2. And again, you want to be at 3 insanity, 3 or greater to be insane. Why does that matter? Because certain effects only trigger or get affected by if you're insane. And insanity is protection for your brain. So from mental damage, psychic damage, fear, that sort of thing. Snahavium has no arrival that I can see. But one of the things I do immediately is Large Flat Tooth says when you gain this, a survivor of your choice immediately gains 1 insanity. So I'll go ahead and give Eve 1 additional insanity, because that way with the stone nose, she goes to 3. And I'll just do that right now. So she is now, has 3 insanity. Emily is now at 2. Nothing here, this one, and then Eltcore goes to 3. And then also everybody gets a plus 1 strength token due to Red Fist that's on Snahavium, which gives a bonus to strength, meaning it's easier to wound. But then also you could spend this strength token or any strength tokens in place of survival. So it's like everyone has 6 survival. And also if I use Frenzy Drink, in this case, Emily would get an additional strength token. So it would technically have 7 survival at her disposal. So everyone gets a plus 1. The tokens go away at the end of the showdown. So just so you know, in case you haven't seen my previous videos, for the scores in the boxes here, that is the character's permanent stats plus their gear that they're wearing. Any effects from that point on, I use with tokens, because the tokens can go away or be removed. Whereas these are permanent stats for whatever weapon they're using. And then I have below pluses to show the permanent addition that help calculate this new value. So for an example with Emily, just so you know, she as a character has plus 1 luck and plus 1 speed. But when I add in the stats of King Spear, on top of that, that fills out these boxes for accuracy, strength, evasion, luck, and speed. And some people even have a bonus to movement if their gear allowed. Like for example, Snahavium's movement is actually 6 because the White Lion boots. Okay, I just wanted to catch up some people, but they may not be aware of how some of these mechanics work. But I highly advise watching these in order, just because it's a cool story and cool development of the horrible things that happen to me in this game. As well as some good, but it's more bad than good. We're just trying to survive. Hence why we're called survivors, not heroes in this game. Okay, so we did do the arrival bonuses. We're good. Now we're going to set up the showdown board. And I'll set up tokens that I need and decks I need to build later. So don't worry about that. I just want to do the strategy of the showdown. Showing me shuffling decks and placing cards on gear grids is not quality entertainment. But looking at miniatures and looking at strategy of shit, now that is interesting. That's, for example, why Star Wars Armada is so interesting to me, because I like looking at miniatures, and I like building decks and making strategies. So, bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so there's some certain criteria, though, on this. Typically, when you are setting this up, you follow the criteria on the bottom on how to set up. The only thing that supersedes that, however, is the Showdown map. If the map says to do something regardless, then that overrules any other mechanics you see. For example, this here is a Showdown grid. The green is where you're supposed to set up the Acanthus plants, but there's no way to set up 6 plants in that grid that are 4 spaces away from everybody. Or how many spaces is it supposed to be? 6 spaces away. But it doesn't matter. They just say you place the plants anywhere in that diamond, but then all other terrain follows normal rules. And the bug, regardless you place in that, what color is that? A dark gold, the dot at the bottom of the diamond, for example. Okay? And the blue is where we set up, which they said we set up on the shortest ends of the board, which is here or there. And I'm going to set up here just so for the camera you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, so the monster always gets set up here. So we're definitely doing that. I'm having it facing us because it's aware that it heard something, that we're there, even though it may not be able to see us. And then, I should not have closed it. I need to see how many spaces away that diamond was. Okay, so the diamond is 4 spaces from the monster. So 4 spaces from the monster on the right is where we place the bug. So the last time I did it over there, this time I'll do it over here. No, I guess it doesn't matter. This is easier to see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where the bug is, which could have any sort of vermin or traps there. We don't know, but of course, because I'm all about resources, of course I'm going to search it. Next, I'll place the pillars. Well, the pillars follow whatever rules I do. And then the plants just have to be somewhere here. So for example, if I want to place pillars here, I have to place them away from the plants. And the plants have to be in here. So what that means is if I want to place a pillar here, that would force me that I can't place any plants here. They would have to be placed here. Because the rules say I can place plants anywhere I want here that overrides rules, but this still has to follow rules of its placement. So if there were plants here, I can't place it close, for example, because I still have other places that would legally be permitted. Okay. All right, so pillar has to be 5 spaces away from the monster, whereas the stone column has to be 4 spaces from all other terrain. But this has to be 5 spaces away from the monster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has to be somewhere in that grid away from the monster. What's interesting is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, I can't place it here because it would be 6 spaces if it was here or there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say we place it there, because that blocks line of sight. We can jump over it. Sure. Next up, we have stone columns, which say 4 spaces from all other terrain. So we can get strategery about this. It just has to be 4 spaces away. So like I could place one here, for example. But why in the rules I can't do that is because there'll be acanthus plants here. So most likely it's not going to jive. But I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's not the length of 4 spaces, it's the movement of 4 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a legal target. Placing one actually 1, 2, 3, 4 1, 2, 3, 4. That's an interesting placement, because then I have like a window of that can race around. That's interesting. And then I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. And do something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this other pillar I could maybe even put on this side, potentially. In case I need to run over here to hide and run back or something. In case we start traversing. I want to try to keep the monster over here, but just in case. Cool. I think that's a good setup. Alright, so now I need to determine where the survivors are going to start. And so I'll definitely keep these on the board so I know what their abilities are. So these would definitely be out. Alright, so now we're going to determine where are people going to start. So I need to start somewhere on this line, but it could be anywhere. All 4. Oh wait, no, I still need to set up the plants. Almost forgot. Okay, so the ruling just says it's equally spaced out, but the other catch is these, it has to be 4 spaces away. Or what does it say? Or does it say 6? No, the Canthus plants just say they have to be 6 spaces away from other plants. But because of these rules here, you're kind of limited. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can put one there, for example. I definitely want them as close as possible to me, so I can take them away. Otherwise, the monster could run away to one and eat it, and then it'll be out of range and healing, which is bad and bad. So they have to be 6 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can't place it there because it still has to be in the triangle. 1, 2, 3. If I can place like one there, one there. Place one there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Place one here. 1, 2. The reason I'm counting is because, like I said, it's a diamond. 4 spaces away. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can place any more here. And 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm trying to equally space this as much as I can, but it's just a little difficult. But something like that. That looks close. 1, 2, 3, 4. So maybe I'll do something like that. So again, it's another like circle of plants. But then this time the plant's near a bug, and this time I got some more reinforced pillars that I can hide behind. I mean, the toppled pillar. English stuff. Cool. So now we have terrain, got the monster. Now we got set up where our guys are going to go. So everyone can go speed 5, except for Snahavium could go 6, but then everyone could also dash. But the idea there is the person that has farthest to move can do that, and then the person that has regenerative survival would be the best tank. The 2 people with armor would definitely be the best tanks, but definitely the person that has regenerative armor. So, but we need to start back here also. So let's see, first of all, let's check line of sight. Like if I do my same strategy of line of sight, because corner to the corner touches, that means anywhere in this line, a line from the edge of this corner to here. So any of my survivors from this square, definitely to this square here, the monster will have no line of sight, cannot see us. Because if you draw a line from this corner and try to get to a survivor, it'll touch one of these edges. So for this line of sight stuff, what I do, I follow the same, again, like I said last time, guidelines that Imperial Assault does, which are really effective, that you go corner to corner. So it's the most extreme angles. And if you can get through it and touch a side of the base, then you have line of sight. If not, you don't. All right, so here to here is safe. So then just how do I expect to run around? The monster can't get past this, but if it comes this way, it will bash through. So I definitely want whoever's here to be able to sustain damage. So maybe let's have Eltcore start here, maybe. And go up this way. And then the person that can run the second fastest, the fastest, but other armored is Snahavium. I'll have here, because we can run in, and this can run, or actually could, yeah, they could both intercept. On the other hand, if I had someone that could shoot straight, they would have a free shot. So maybe I want to put the, yeah, I'm sorry, I thought this was Snahavium. Yeah, this is Eva. Eve will have a straight shot, so I'll keep her there. You'll be there. Snahavium can run to intercept. Maybe we'll put her there here, then run to intercept. And then Emily have on the side. I think that's good. Can attack from afar, go pounce, chop, chop. Sure. I just want to start off everyone initially in hiding from line of sight, if possible. I think that may be good. If anything, the monster's still too far away, because the monster's movement, I think, was like 6. So it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it'd be out of range anyway. This way you can get a free shot. I guess with that argument, if I had her closer, she can run in and stab. Maybe do something like that instead. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I'd be farther than move. No, I'll keep that strategy. It's okay. Initially, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This person can run 5 and hit. Shoot and hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Potentially get in the hit. So if that's the case, maybe she should be a little bit closer. Because if she's going to run up 6, she can still reach. So maybe I'll do something like this. Cool. Because she can run 6, whereas she can only run 5, but she has range 2. It's going to be cumbersome attacks, so I don't want to move and just be able to blast. And this person, if anything, I could dash somewhere and then pounce even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or just dash and then do a cumbersome attack. Cool. If that's where the monster goes. If the monster starts eating, it's going to throw off everything. But I want to try to kite the monster back here, and eventually toward the end of the fight, I want to be able to snake over here and pick up the stuff. Or keep the monster over here and even have 2 people, like I did last time, sort of like gobble up stuff while 2 people engage. Preferably a tank and a good DPS, and then have a tank and DPS over here. That way, in case the monster flies back here, we have people that can intercept. This strategy. Cool. Well, that's initial setup. The battle with the Screaming Antelope will be during the Showdown video, which will be the next video after this one. Thanks for watching. Again, this was the hunt phase of Kingdom Death Monster, including the departing of the settlement phase and the arrival of the Showdown phase. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Ismortah. Love that KDM, and I'll catch you next time.